Namaskar. Welcome to Learn with Umesh. Uh, this is session 4. If you like this channel, please subscribe and like it. So, for session 4, we are continuing from session 3. Let's get the systems up and running. Let me first start with my LM Studio. All right, starting up. I will continue. Let me eject this model. Now I'm going to dismiss this. Let's go and load our favorite Gemma 3-4B model. Cool. While it is loading, let's get the Docker image started. Okay. All right. So looks like the N8N container is up and running, and we need our ngrok started. So let's get ngrok http 1234. Cool. So let's double check if this forwarding URL has changed or not. And for that purposes, we are going to our N8N this thing by localhost 5678. And you can find all your workflows that are created in this. So this is the workflow that I've been working on with all of us together. Let's quickly look at if the URL that we have given it is the same. So let's edit this and make sure it's whatever Jacqueline Company Legend Grok, Jacqueline Company Legend Grok free dev. So we are good and we are in business. All right, let's just give it a try. It's tested. Good. The reason I went through these steps is many times we move from a machine out and we want to redo the stuff. So we will have to test that everything is working fine. Cool. Okay, so remember the workflow that we had created in the last session. We had an RSS read that we had configured to Economic Times of India. We can connect it to anyone. We know that it showed us 76 items. For testing purposes, we limited it to one item at a time. Well, not at a time, one item. And then we added a loop because we eventually want to have all 76 items, and we would probably remove the limit portion of it, again, probably. And then we added the brain that would help us build some kind of summary. Now, like I said yesterday, we need to go and look at how we build a summary. And here is a sample summarization prompt that I have. Now, this looks like a pretty large text document. Actually, it is, all right. But let me break it for you slowly. Uh, I know we don't really like to write documents, but my stint at Amazon taught me how to write them to a certain extent, though I never liked to write those things. But whether it is useful or not, it's a separate story. We just want to be sure that we are writing it so that the LLM that we are connecting to understands it correctly. So for all Gemini type of LLMs, what I learned is that you need to use this as start of turn and the role as a user, and then state what your small goal is. So here we are saying you are a financial analyst and your task is to classify news articles based on their relevance to India's financial and trade landscape. Then we are telling it to have a ranking scale. All right. So we are going to rank these from 1 to 10 and remove the chaff. So for example, anything which is irrelevant, which basically means it's purely local news from other countries with no global or Indian spillover. I don't want to talk about them. Low relevance, that is ranked 3 to 4. Global niche industry with minimal impact on Indian markets. Moderate relevance, so global events that are there, US Fed updates and whatnot that would impact emerging markets, including India. High relevance, regional news, right? Or trade developments involving India's major partners that will impact Indian supply chains or trade. And then critical relevance, direct India economic news. Now, as you can see, figuring out who are India's major partners, I don't need to enumerate them. I'm hoping LLM should be able to do it for me. Global events or US Fed updates, etc., from all emerging markets would probably give the LLM an idea what news to look for. And then finally, critical relevance, where I put in some specific examples. And at the same time, direct economic news may be interpreted by the LLM in a way we want. Now, the third thing that we need to give is the reasoning framework. All right. So when providing the reason is so whenever the LLM choose a certain relevance or ranking scale, I would like to understand what reasoning it is going to give for me, why it is so. So the first one is identification. Identify core financial and economic event. Right? If it is not economic event, don't care about it. Contextualization. Link this event to a specific Indian stakeholder. All right. And then the impact. Justify the rank by explaining how directly this affects Indian economy compared to other categories. Then this few short example is a I don't know why they call it as few short example. I don't know the relevance of it, but it is important. This is optional. However, providing this example would help us train the model on the fly in a bit. All right. It's not actually training the model, but it kind of hinting the model how it should do stuff. So for example, if it gets this as the input article, right? The US Federal Reserve signaled a potential rate cut, cutting a rally in emerging market equities, particularly in Mumbai's Nifty 50. All right, so Mumbai is in India, so it's certainly affecting us. So is it finance related? The answer is true. It's the category, it's India focused. Why is it ranked 9? Okay, before we go to that, we are putting a summary of whatever we got from the content of that news. All right, so don't worry about it. And then the reasoning based on the framework that we have, because it identifies whatever shift in US monetary policies, which is the identification, the direct impact on Indian equity markets and capital inflows, as investors move towards higher yielding market rate assets, its contextualization, and because it specifically mentions Nifty 50 and Mumbai's markets, it is classified as India focused with highest priority rank. All right. So this is how we would like it to be, uh, reasoned for every single news that it gets. Now, the next section is called as constraints. It defines how we would like to constrain output coming from the LLM. So one, return only a valid JSON object. Right? The reason for getting a JSON object is we would like to process it. I mean, one of the simplest processing that we would do in this example is remove everything which is lower than 6 ranking scale. All right, so getting that rank in a JSON object would be useful for us. Then no markdown code fences, that is, do not use JSON in the text that you would generate. And the reasoning must be exactly 3 to 5 sentences following the framework above. So I don't want dwell a lot in the reasoning part of it. And I would like to get a summary that is less than 100 words. All right. So remember, this is the summary that I'm talking about. Okay. So that's how we would like it to be. All right. And then we need to provide the article to analyze. Now you see here we have this called as JSON content. Where am I getting this? So that's where we look at the input schema coming from to this brain coming from the RSS feed that we have. So if you see this, in this input schema, you have the title of the news, the link, publication date, and the content, which is important for us. And that's the JSON content that I'm getting. All right. Oh, sorry. Okay. And then I specify the output schema because I'm asking it to create a valid JSON object. So here it is finance related, it's a boolean. What's the category? It's a string, a rank, an integer. Title, JSON title. Remember the schema for the RSS Explorer gives me this. So I should be able to use it. Summary, we expected the LLM to generate for us. Reasoning, we expect the LLM to generate for us. End of turn and start of turn model this. Clear so far? I will of course put this into the uh, Git GitHub for you to cut and paste if you want to. All right. So where do I get this structure from? Here is a note that I have added. You get it from Gamma Docs prompt structure. Now let's copy this whole prompt and we will paste it in the prompt structure here. Okay. All right. Delete this and Control V. Okay, so we have just pasted everything that we want. Okay, now that we have pasted it, I'm sorry, why am I keeping anything here? I shouldn't be. Now, okay, I just want a simplified output and I also would like to see the output in the JSON format. All right, let's close this and now let's see if we can execute it again. Right, 76 items, one item. We are executing this with the model. And let's hope and trust this gets executed quickly. Okay, so the workflow is executed. All right, so it's Friday, 23rd January. Indian show resilience is the content, and we would now see what's the outcome of what we wanted. So remember, the role was a financial assistant. The status is complete, and the output is in JSON format in the way we want. Is finance related? True, right? Category, it is India focused. It has ranked it as number 7 and it has copied the title from here as is and then it has summarized it. All right. Now you can actually see that the summary, we said it should be less than 100 words, is not verbatim copy of the content, but it is trying to summarize it. It's a different story that this content is also small and we could have used it as is. But overall, I don't want it to be, um, you know, copied as is. So I just want LLMs to summarize it. And then we can see the reasoning. So let me put it in the table so it's easy to format so I can read the full reasoning. So article identifies volatility, blah blah blah, and it warrants a rank of 7. So whether we agree with this or not, for now, let's not worry about it. But at least we are able to see that it is able to rank correctly. It has found that it is true. Financial news, it has some ranking, and based on 7 ranking, and let's look at how we said rank number 7 would be. Okay, so it's high relevance, it's a regional news or trade developments. So sounds so far Okay, all right. Okay, so next step. Okay, so next step, let's try and take it for a spin for, let's say, 5 items and see if it is able to figure out something. We will do this for the RSS feed and we will execute it for 5 items. I'm going to pause it for a minute so that all 5 items would be completed. All right, so it completed very fast and clearly because even though I have put a loop, I really did not execute the loop here. So let me make sure that I put the loop in and make sure that it executes it again. All right, so now we are limiting it to 5 items and we hope the loop would go through for 5 items. All right, now you can see that the second item in the loop is getting processed and it has completed one item as you can see here, right, on this row. Okay, so now it has completed all the 5 responses and we will see what it means. So one thing, good part of using a NetN, you can examine every single item that it has processed through the output table. Okay, so you can see the first item that it had, it marked it as rank 7. We know because it was the same one that we processed earlier. Number 2, it's now ranking it as rank 8. Now number 3, again ranked as number 8. Number 4, again ranked as 8. And number 5, ranked as 7. So yes, so it's working through the ranking system. So far it hasn't found anything that is not relevant to the finance work. Given that the RSS feed that we are using is from Economic Times, there is a pretty good chance that we are going to get all finance related news. So I want to test that my prompt is working correctly. So let me try and connect it with, let's say, Fox Business News. And how to do that? Let me just duplicate this RSS feed. All right. Let me copy the feed here. Remember RSS, we need the URL for it. All right. Let's delete this connection and put it to this. Let's delete this connection and put it to this. Let's put it to, let's say, max items 10 for now. All right. Loop over and see. So let's execute this workflow and see if it works. So good that we put it to 10 items. We have 25 items coming from this RSS feed. In the meanwhile, let me rename these. Okay, so this was my Economic Times feed. This is Fox Business feed. And I will also change this to, L3 Anumesh Finance. Cool. So we have, while this whole thing is going through, we have done these changes to be able to, um, you know, kind of beautify the whole thing. Okay, so good to see that we have almost moved through the full loop and we are processing the last one for now. The workflow is executed. Let's examine what the output was. Okay, let's first one, not finance related. Cool. All right, why is it? Because budget flights hang in balance as bankrupt Spirit Airlines turns to private equity for life support. This is certainly a business use, but nothing for me or for India specific. Or let's see if it actually said it is India specific or not in the reasoning portion of it. Okay. Uh, all right. Okay. So the reasoning seems good. So it looks like our LLM is working through. Let me just take another one. It's again rank 1, false. Number 8, again not finance related. Oh, that's interesting. We don't have anything finance. No, this is there. Okay, so this certainly is global trade and investment category, ranked number 6. All right, and let's see why they have made it rank 6. The reasoning is no, no, no. Okay, so this one is ranked number 5, finance related, and there is some reasoning given. We may or may not agree with the reasoning right now. We will fine tune this as we work through it. So now that we have proven that our prompt works, our loop works, our limit works, next step is to get this into decision making code and then putting all the summary into an email that we would like to send ourselves. Okay, so let's go back to our Economic Times feed. It has some 76 lines, so let's use that and let's put it here. Let's still put limit to 10 for now. And now we need to make sure that we have some code which would help us build this. So for now, I'm going to remove this code thing. Now let's put, so you can run any custom JavaScript of Python code. Let's use JavaScript for this. All right, and it comes up with some template code that would help you to loop over everything. For now, I'm going to delete this code and we are going to use the more run ones for all items. Now we would, here is the sample code that we would be using. What the code does is it is going to process all the news items, filter out all that are ranked lower than 7. Remember, 7 to 8 is high relevance, 9 to 10 is critical relevance, right? Okay, and put all of them which are, greater than 7 uh, into an email that we would be sending it. So it was basically going to get all the input items, setting a count. I'll also get number of items that are processed, and I'll create a variable called email body, which we would make use of to send in the email. Then we just iterate over all these items. Now we need to extract the raw string. The trouble with this whole output that we have is, if you remember, I'm sorry, okay, uh, see the, oh, did I lose? Okay, I think I lost the output. Let me regenerate that. Okay, so we have regenerated by setting the limit to 2. So look at this text output that we have. All right, the output is in JSON format as we expected, but it is put into this schema uh, in text. So you have this. This is what the LLM, most of the LLMs do. All right, and we don't want this, so we have to have some kind of a code which would help us parse that nonsense out of it. So we extract the raw string from it and then clear the JSON, that is the remove markdown blocks, and parse them once. So this code should be straightforward for anyone who knows some JavaScript or anyone who is coding anything. All right, then we will add skip the items with rank less than 7, right, and then append everything to the email body. Okay. Uh, this is something that I generally like to know in an email, where how many items were processed and what's the rank of this item. And we will make use of this information at some point in time. All right. And then if there is an error, we will have, and if there are no stories that made the cut, okay, we would get to know that there is no major finance story for today. All right, I'll again put the same code into our Git repository. Okay, let's now get this code, whole thing copied, okay, and put it into the code here. Uh, did we delete this? Not sure why it has reappeared. That's okay. I'm pasting it here. Looks like all right. So we have pasted it here. Hopefully it would work. Let's connect the loop to this. Let's beautify it for now. Right. It effectively moves our business RSS to a corner, and now we have this. So let's execute it and see what we are going to get. I'm limiting it to 2 items right now so that it executes fast. Okay, so it has executed. Let's examine the output. So the email body is the output that we are getting, and we are getting 2 items here. Let's put it into a table form. Okay, here is your daily financial digest, one of two. There is a title there, and then there is a summary. Now remember, our input to this whole thing was the text that we got from our LLM, which actually did not, uh, which in its own place had only contained the text out here. All right, so sorry, looks like my mic stopped working in the last few seconds. So as I was saying, the output from our LLM basically contained lots of things. Is finance related, is in what's the category, the rank, then the title, then the summary, and then the reasoning, right? But in an email, I would like to only get the title and the summary. I don't need to know why it was reasoned one way or the other, because that's not what I want to read in my email. That's where I basically got the title and the summary and put it into the email for now. Now we will plumb this whole thing to get to an email. Okay, so to get the email to be sent, we will look for send email component from init in. We have send an email component. Now I'm going to be using my Google Mail to send this email. So for this purposes, I need to use the SMTP account. So you can create new credentials, and we will use the same account that I have. The process for creating the app password that's required for in to send the email, you don't want to use your actual username and the password out here. Instead of that, it is better to create an app password, and that's a 16-letter password, and to create it you can use these steps. So for example, to send the daily digest, NetN requires a Gmail app password. All right, so what you should do is go to your Google account and then security, enable two-step verification, then search for app passwords, and then create a new password, say name for N8N, you can name it whatever, and then copy that 16 character code into your N8N credentials. So basically the app password that you are going to generate there in this place, this 16 word, you are going to paste it here. I'm going to do this off the screen for now and then come back. Okay, so I have generated the password and I'm going to use smtp.gmail.com as the host. Let's leave the port, etc. same, right? And then save this. All right, so the connection is tested successfully, so we are good with whatever we generated there. All right, now the operation that we are going to use is, of course, send the email, and then we are going to send the email from my own email and to some other email that I would like to send it to, and I will put the subject as Finance Digest. Let's make it Daily Finance Digest. All right, we will put the email format as text for now. Then we need to connect the text that we want to get from the earlier uh, connector. So let's go and do that. Let's connect it here, right? And see if we can just execute this only. You can actually do that by running this. Okay, so let's see what's the input that we want. So we want the email body to be put into this text that is going to be sent to us. Are there any options that we want to do? BCC the email, BCC add attachments, etc., etc. I don't care. All right, so that's done, right? And that should, let's beautify it again. That should be able to send the email. So let's see if we can execute this send email to us. Problem executing the workflow and could not be executed for please fix them first. All right, let's see what happened here. Okay. I'm not sure what's going on here. Let me try and fix. Okay, the reason it was giving me an error was I hadn't set the two fields out here, which were basically from email and send to email. So I have done that. Now let's see if I can execute this workflow. Okay, so it's continuing to execute. It has sent two items here. All right, the code went through, and now let's look at the email that it has sent. All right, so we actually see two emails that are being sent here. Actually, only one of them has been sent. Maybe one of the items was not related to finance or did not meet the goal of, let's see, one item is India Focus, rank 8, so good. Item number 2 is rank 7, and since we said greater than 7, it's not going to be sent. So that's good. So my email is expected to have only one item. Okay, so far so good. Now let's see if we can execute it for by removing the limit. Do it for all 76 items and see how many of them, and I will also show you the email that I get. Okay, so let's remove the limit, or let's put it to, let's say, 50 emails. Well, why do we need this? Okay, so let us delete this. Let us delete this connection and then short circuit it from here directly to here, so this goes out. So we have removed the limit. Now we are taking the 76, all the items that are expected to go, and let's execute this. It is going to take some fair amount of time, so I'm going to pause and come back again. Okay, so it's continuing to execute. Let's give it some time to execute. Anyway, we expect it to be executed at 6 a.m. in the morning when everyone is sleeping and get an email at some point in time. All right. So our agent has done all its job. It has processed 76 um, news stories that came to us from Economic Times. We put them in the JavaScript and we would see how many of them are filtered out. And it has been also able to send an email. So with all these things done, before we go and see the email, I want to talk about two things. Number one, I made some changes in the code in JavaScript because there were errors in it. I would have provide the updated code in our GitHub repository. Those of you with keen eyes would have seen in few minutes ago that the filter was not working for 7, so that is what we did. We fixed it. Okay. Now, before we go into I said two things. So the second thing that I also changed was um, I made sure that I'm adding the rank into the email so that we know what is the rank that the LLM provided. So here is the email that we have got. Let me start from top. All right, so here is the daily finance digest that we are getting. And you can see I get a story 1 with rank 8, story 2 with rank 9, story 3 with rank 7, 8, 7, 8, 9. All right, so it's working for all the stories with ranks of 7 and above. All right, there is also a problem sometimes that it is not able to parse the content for an item. So maybe the JSON that was generated with LLM was something that it could not parse. So that happens. So we might have lost a story here. Similarly, we may see another one down below where we ran into a similar problem. In case. So we are seeing it a couple of times. We would be able to go back and debug it by looking at the debug logs on LM Studio, and we will work through it in an offline way. Okay. So far, it seems that it was able to send 45 stories my way. Remember, we had 76 stories as input. It has filtered out almost 31 stories that made to my inbox. So clearly a good amount of time saved, and also I'm only getting the summary. So that's good. Uh, so just to summarize what we learned in this, we schedule the trigger. So this process would run every day at 6 a.m. Whatever is available from Economic Times, the number of items will keep on changing on a day-to-day basis. We will take all of them. There is no limit now. Okay, we will go through them, send them to Gemma. That's our favorite LLM, and then let it decide based on the prompt that we created uh, what to do with the incoming story, analyze it, and then finally in the JavaScript code, we are going to apply the filter for only ranking, and whatever rank we have filtered 7 and above would come our way in an email. Okay, that's the end of session 4, where we now have a working agent. What I'm going to do in a subsession is change this model that we are using from Gemma to Llama from Meta and see if it is going to give us a different kind of result or if it requires another kind of a prompt. I would do that and publish it as session 4.1 tomorrow. But for now, that's all. Have a good rest of the day. If you like it, subscribe the channel and like it on YouTube. Thanks a lot.